welcome to the Takarazuka Fan Podcast, the podcast where fans from all over the world come together to talk about Takarazuka. I am Carly, and I am reporting from Japan today. And Jen is also here.
Yay!
Hi, Jen.
Hey!
And we have a new special guest who is going to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. This is Kems from Greece. And I'm going to be a guest on today's episode, specifically. Hope you can hear me all right.
Definitely.
Which is about Chickies and Miyu. Okay, but before we start with that, let's talk about our happy things. Jen, why don't you start?
Okay. I guess I had a hard time picking one because it's been a while since we recorded, and there have been a lot of really fun things in the Takarazuka OG world of retired Takarajin. But I think the thing that keeps popping up on my Twitter feed that keeps making me really, really happy is there is a poster for a chanson concert, which normally I'm kind of like, yawn, chanson. But this poster is actually, I don't know who did the design for it and who took the photos and everything, but everyone looks awesome in it. It's, I'm going to mess up the French, I know I am, but it's L'Age d'Or de la Chanson, and it's Morikeaki and Yumihiro and Shiomi Maho plus a special guest. But these three ladies just look beautiful in this poster. It makes me really happy to see it. So we'll put a link in the episode notes so you can take a look at it if you'd like to see.
That's an interesting trio.
Yes!
Isn't it?
Definitely.
It is! I'm trying to think. I guess Shiomi Maho and Yumihiro would have been in Takarazuka when Morikeaki was still there, but there wouldn't have been a lot of overlap.
Probably
not
not.
Yumihiro. Didn't she debut in 97? I want to say?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
And Shiomi Maho had a tiny bit of overlap. Like a year or so, maybe. But yeah, that's an interesting combination of people who don't have very much to do with each other.
No.
Yeah. I also saw that poster. It's very, very nice.
Yeah, I kind of want to visit. I don't know. I recognize the castle in the background, but I can't remember where it's from. It's like a medieval monastery or something on an island.
In France?
I don't know if it's French or not. I'm guessing maybe it is since the title of the concert's in French, but I don't know. We'll post it. Maybe somebody will know, be able to tell us where it's from.
Okay. All right. Kems, what's your happy thing?
My happy thing is something very, very commonplace and trite, because 3 weeks before final Tokyo Raku, you don't have happy things and left anymore.
Oh.
So my happy thing is that I was waiting for a package from Takan, which took an unusually long time to come, and I was getting worried. But in the end, it made its way to me, and that's the happy thing.
Oh, that's always such a great feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you tell us what you got, or is it a secret?
Oh, of course. I got a second copy of Chickies' memorial book.
Ooh.
And the Takarazukaism. You know, it's a special kind of publication which publishes a lot of essays and reviews about OG shows, current shows, Shinshin Koen, and also experts talk about, for example, now it's Chigi and Miyu's Taidan, and people were talking about that inside it. And it's really, really interesting, because it's some people have seen them from way back in the day. I was reading this morning, and I say from someone who first noticed Chigi when she was Ken 3.
Aww.
And it was really nice to see how these people have known them since back then and have seen their growth, so to say.
Yeah, I've seen issues of Takarazuka is like around, but I've never actually read it. It always looks like they have good articles.
Yeah, they do. It's the first time I'm getting one, but I'm thinking I'm gonna go back and get more.
Cool.
I only found out what that was like at the end of last year because I was in one, which is weird.
You're a celebrity.
They quoted me in an article about Chicago when they came to New York.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'd never seen it before then. But yeah, it's really cool. It's like it's like the size of a paperback, and it has some black and white pictures in it, but it's really mostly text. But yeah, the articles and stuff in it are really interesting.
And it's mostly OG show photos, not from the Takarazuka ones.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like privately published? Is it like a doujinshi, or is it like an academic publish?
I think it's the latter, maybe not that much of an academic thing. It's people publishing it who also publish, say so, reviews for Kageki, or who have blogs online and post their reviews of shows for many, many years. They're supposed to be experts in the field.
Yeah, I think I don't know specifically who publishes it, but I always see it in bookstores, like around Takarazuka. They always have it on display with all of the other theater-related stuff. Yeah. And I think the woman who talked to me during Chicago and then had her article in that issue also worked for a different newspaper, which I'm forgetting which one right now, but some Japanese newspaper. So yeah, it's an official publication, but I don't think it's like an in-company publication.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, I see it on Amazon a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, Carly, how about you? What's your happy thing?
I just came back from seeing a play that So Kazuho is in.
Yay!
Which I wasn't specifically planning on seeing, but I did not succeed in getting a Yuuki Goomy ticket today. So it was my plan B. She is not like the main character or anything. There's like a 3-person main story, and she's kind of in the background, but she plays Kawashima Yoshiko, who was a real person. She was a Chinese princess / cross-dressing spy in the 1930s.
Okay.
And it was really cool. I wish she had more scenes personally, because I paid a bunch of money for a ticket basically to just see her. So it was a little disappointing. And I also read up on this woman beforehand, and her life is really interesting. So like, I wanted to see a story about her life more than I wanted to see this like made up story about these other 3 people. But anyway, so she had both like male dress and female dress scenes, and it was just nice because she now retired from Takarazuka 3 years ago, and she was in top otakuyaku form in her male dress scenes. She looked really cool, and the last scene in particular was extremely cool. I mean, I guess I can spoil it because I don't know who's gonna go see this random show. Yeah, she had a really like badass final scene where she came in and solved all the problems by shooting somebody and holding the police at gunpoint and making them sing, all while in a very form-fitting red china dress that was slit all the way up both sides and red pumps, and it was great. I had a good time.
At least they got that part right.
Yeah, it was a good finale.
I feel like I've seen some stage photos. I think Sakiko posted some or something like that from the show. There must be some. Oh
yeah, I think Yuuki did. Yuki's a big So fan.
Oh, that's who it was. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, so there were also a lot of announcements over the past couple of days, so we just kind of wanted to touch on the news really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
First, the Soragumi Taidan announcements were announced 2 days ago. 2 days ago, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be.
Seems like forever, doesn't it?
I know, because yesterday was so
Seriously.
crazy. So, I should have put the list of who's leaving in front of me. It wasn't. I was really, really nervous because of the previous Grand Theater show. The only one who left was Misaki Rion, who had been previously announced. And I remember when rehearsal started for that show, we were all like waiting and refreshing the page for the announcement, and it just didn't come. And like, it didn't even occur to me that nobody else was retiring until much like a lot of time had passed. So I thought this one was going to be really, really bad because nobody left with the previous show. And I mean, it's not great, but it's not quite as many people as I expected.
It's a lot of upperclassmen, though. There aren't any younger members retiring.
Yeah, a lot of upperclassmen, and interestingly, all Musumeyaku, except for Asaka Manato, obviously. But yeah, there were a lot of jokes on Twitter that she's like retiring surrounded by women, just the way she likes it.
Typical Magun.
So I think the biggest name that surprised some people was Reimi Urara is retiring with this show. I'm not that surprised. She's in 95th, so she's been an upperclassman for a bit now, and I think considering that she's not going to be a top star, I noticed a lot of Musumeyaku kind of don't wait much longer than she's
kind of
been around 9 years now. Yeah,
True.
so that's a pretty typical time for somebody with her level of exposure, I think. So I kind of expected that, I think.
Has a Musumeyaku ever become top star after Ken 10?
Oh yeah. It's rare, but like Nagisaki was made top star with Kozu Tatsuki, and she was Ken 14 at the time.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about her because she's so awesome.
Now I know the Sena Ayase is Ken 10 now, and I know the announcement came in October of last year, but I don't remember when her first show started, if it was before or after April, so I'm not sure if she was still 9 or 10 when she actually took office, but if it was before, she was only, weeks shy of Ken 10.
Ah,
So,
neat.
yeah, it happens, but it's rare.
It should be around March, I think. The Kamen Romanesque Exciter national tour was around spring.
Okay.
So yeah, like right on the borderline.
Yeah.
And then after that came the actual next Soragumi top star announcement, and it's going to be Makaze Suzuho and Hoshikaze Madoka.
Yay!
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 Applause.
I think you called that one a while ago, Carly, that it would be Madoka.
Yeah, it was. They had been kind of treating her and Urara as like sort of double leads. Once Mirion announced her retirement, so it seemed like it was going to be one of them. And if it was going to be Urara, I'm pretty sure Madoka would have ended up in another troupe because they're really, really aggressively pushing her. But no, it was Madoka, who is, she's in the 100th class. So I think because it's triple digits, that sounds like so ridiculously young to me. But
Right.
she's Ken 4, which is normal. I believe that was the same year that Misaki Dion became top star also. So
Yes.
it's not... I mean, I still personally prefer them to, like, especially Musume Aku, who I really enjoy. It's always a little sad when they become top so young because inevitably their career in Takarazuka ends up so short.
Right.
I kind of wish I could see them around a little bit longer. But Madoka is I think she's a very good actress for her age, for sure.
Although...
and she's also... Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to say, although Hanafusa Mari became top star, she was what, Ken? 3?
Yeah.
And then she was top star for like 14 years, so you never know.
I guess you never know.
Maybe
really
Madoka will be around for the next 14 years.
That would be something. She is the first Soragumi top star ever who came from Soragumi, which is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's an amazing title.
I'm a little sad no one's really like making a big deal out of it because she's the Musume Aku or whatever, but I think it's cool.
I don't know, I've seen a lot of people posting about it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it blows my mind. Like, when I got into fandom, they were still on their first, like, top star combi in Soragumi, and now they're on, like... I think she's, like, the 6th top Musume Aku in Soragumi. So...
Something like that.
Crazy.
Really. And she's only the third Soragumi Musumeyaku to make top in general anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Before her it was only Tono Asuka, who became top in Hoshigumi, and Kano Maria in Hanagumi.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, this is... No, next year is Soragumi's 20th anniversary.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they've finally been around enough that like Otokuyaku, who they gave birth to, could become top stars. I mean, but
I'm sorry,
it's
so
just
funny.
weird to think about that they really haven't been around that long. But anyway, then the big shocking news, I thought, was the transfer announcement, which I did not expect at all. I mean, I expected there to be transfers. I thought there would be more transfers, and I thought there would be very different transfers. But
Yeah.
Sarika Toa is going to Soragumi. I had Soragumi pegged as needing to get rid of some people and not, like, gain an obviously star-tracked Nipponte person, but here we are.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if we're going to get another round of transfer announcements in a few months.
I think we pretty much have to.
Yeah, definitely. There are still problems that need to be fixed personnel-wise.
Yeah. I'm wondering if when Benny retires, she's probably going to take all her friends with her, I'm guessing. So maybe, like, I don't know, thinking about the timing of that and waiting for a little bit more turnover before they shuffle more people around. But it's still, there's just such a feeling of imbalance. Like, there's some troops that are completely stacked and some that have a lot of really big question marks. And it still feels really imbalanced. If anything, it feels more imbalanced. So I still have that anxiety of like, okay, when is the big change gonna really come?
I guess I was surprised that so many of the transfers were young Musumeyaku. When it doesn't
I was a little
feel like
surprised by that too.
Usually when they transfer Musumeyaku, it's just a couple, and it's like right before one of them gets promoted to top stardom or something like that. So
yeah, it was. I think there were 4 Musumeyaku involved in this shuffle, and none of them are like obviously star-tracked Musumeyaku, and it's just kind of it was a weird move to make. There's no obvious meaning behind it, so I guess I'm curious to see how it plays out.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep looking at the transfers, like trying to figure it out. All right. Let's get into the meat of this podcast.
Yes.
Which is Sagiri Seina and Sakihi Miyu retiring.
No.
It feels like the end of an era. Like, I'm not a big Snow Troupe fan, and I can't tell you a lot about either of them. Like, especially after Sakihi Miyu left Moon Troupe. But Sagiri Seina was Masaki's classmate, so for me, it's like the end of an era. Like,
oh yeah.
It really feels
yeah,
that
their
way.
class is really shrinking, isn't it? Who's even left? Koma?
Koma and Agazuki Seri, Tsukigumi Fukukumicho. I think that's the only ones left right now.
Yeah. Crazy. All right.
Really?
So, I don't know much about either of them, so I'm going to act as kind of the foil here, and I'm going to have you two tell me a little bit about them. Who would like to go first?
Kems, you're the Chickie expert. do you want to give a little bit of her career background?
Okay, shall I start with after she got into TMS, or how she wanted to go into TMS or something?
Go start with her Takarazuka discovery story.
Okay, so Chickies is from Nagasaki, who is way out there in the... away from both Kansai and Kanto. It's quite far. And back when she was in junior high, she found this school orientation leaflet. It was a magazine that was talking about different occupations someone can do in their life, so to say, different professions you can follow. And one of them was about Takarazuka and how you can become an otokoyaku. And it was specifically, she said it was a picture of Maya Miki, both with stage makeup and without stage makeup. And it was like her world turned upside down, and she was flabbergasted that this thing actually exists. And so she was really interested in it. And later on, she saw Hanagumi's Istoviden and Dandism on national tour.
Ooh, that would be a good one to see.
Yeah, it was an excellent one to see. I agree. And that's how she really, really wanted to get into Takarazuka and specifically become an otokoyaku, nothing else. It took her 3 times to get accepted, but she did it. And then she had her Hatsubutai as a member of the 87th class in 2001 with Soragumi's Rose of Versailles, Fersen and Marie Antoinette, starring Yoka and Hanafu Samari. It was a big production. Later on, she got assigned to Soragumi, which was quite an issue, to be honest, because Soragumi is known as the tall people troupe, right? And
Chickie is someone who, her proportions are so perfect that she looks tall until she stands next to literally anybody.
Yeah, that's true. And especially in Soragumi, where everyone is at least 172, it was kind of an issue. I remember watching Passion one day, and there's a point where otokoyaku come out on the Ginkyo, and it's I don't know, Tani, Masako, Yumihiro, and then it's Chigi standing next to Masako. The difference.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, she really struggled during her Soragumi days. She said it herself many times that she wanted so much to be seen as manly, and she had so many handicaps against her, especially in this troupe. But eventually, I guess she did it.
Yeah, I guess because I haven't watched a lot of her early Soragumi shows. But yeah, I never thought of it that way, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, back in Soragumi, she was mostly...
really unfortunate pairing.
She was mostly doing boy roles or someone's younger brother. not adult men kind of roles.
Mm-hmm. Which is really weird to think about now.
Yeah, definitely. It's really weird to think about that era.
I mean, even her first Balhall lead role was, I mean, that was kind of unusual. It was a Nihonmono, right? But it was also very, I mean, I don't think of that role as being super manly. It's, it's all about taking care of the blind girl.
Yeah, indeed. It's true. It's very unusual to be given that specific role because, first of all, it's a Nihonmono in Soragumi. Soragumi really doesn't do Nihonmono in general. And second of all, it's because if you've ever read The Portrait of Shunkin, that complete devotion that play was based on, it's kind of un-Takarazuka-ish, non-Takarazuka-ish. It's kind of, let's say, about a very maddening kind of love, an obsessive kind of love from both sides. And it was really a very big challenge at the time. But she had really good reviews for her acting back then, so I guess it worked out for her. And also she showed that she is good with Nihonmono.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's one of the reasons they decided to move her to Yukigumi? Because that was the next year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I guess it did. Half that and half that she really couldn't have progressed in Soragumi at all. She had to be transferred. And she was often told that one day you'll get transferred, and then it never happened. And when she said, okay, I guess I'm not getting transferred after all, they transferred her. Yay.
But it worked out very well for her.
Yeah, definitely.
They transferred her in the middle of Zoro, right? Which is always kind of like Oki Kaname was that role in Zoro in Takarazuka, and then it was Chigi in Tokyo. So transfers like that always make me kind of like, huh, was this a last minute decision? Like they couldn't have timed this better? But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard because of how the troops are on such different schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So then what happened when she hit Snow Troop?
In Snow Troop, there were a couple of years when she was quite prominent in Mizunatsuki's Yukigumi. I think she also had another bow lead, shared a double lead with Saokurama, her doki. It's called Snowy Landscape, and it's really, really nice. I really like it. It's 3 stories of traditional Nihonmono. And the both of them had to, since they were leads and switching at the same time, they had to memorize 6 roles each.
Wow.
Yeah.
For one run. It was a
crazy.
handful, yeah, definitely. And
I feel like a lot of people first started to get to know her when she got her lead in Nijinsky in 2011.
Yes, definitely. So after Mizunatsuki retired and Otozuki Kei became top star, Chigi was also rose to Nibante, which was a lot for her to do at the time. She felt like she didn't have what it takes to be Nibante. So Nijinsky came around a few months later, after the Otozuki Kei's Yukigumi the first Daigekijo they had. And Nijinsky was really her chance to prove that she has what it takes, that she can do it, and she really poured her everything into that role to make it happen. And it worked out, so that gave her a lot of confidence for the future.
Yeah, it really showed. Nijinsky was, I saw it, I don't remember when I first saw it, but at the time I really wasn't a Chigi fan at all. And it was one of those shows that, despite not being her fan, it made me think wow, that was a really impressive performance.
Was it the dancing or was it the actual performance itself that you thought was good about it?
Both. I mean, it definitely showed off her dance skills, and her acting also, I guess because it's also kind of like an unusual role and an unusual show. I thought she really rose to the challenge of that character.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was really a role that she could have done that well at that point specifically.
Yeah.
All right, so when do you think everybody started looking at her and saying, okay, this one's definitely going to be a top star?
I'm going to say, like, I think people were kind of surprised when So swooped in to Yukigumi. Like, I mean, not everybody, but I think there was definitely some surprise. So, like, especially, I think throughout Otozuki Kei's run, like, she was pretty clearly in line to be the next top star, and then it just kind of got postponed a little bit.
You're talking about So Kazuha?
Yeah. Like,
she transferred in 2004, right? That would have been before Chiki.
Oh, no. So she was in Yukigumi from 2000 to 2006.
Okay.
And then went back to Hanagumi.
Right.
And then she came in to be top star of Yukigumi without transferring first. So, like, Otozuki Kei graduated, and then So Kazuho came back specifically to be top star.
Oh my god. Yes.
And, like, there were some rumors that it was... I have no idea if this is actually true or not, but there were rumors that Chigi was in line to be top star, and she didn't feel like she was ready. And she kind of insisted on waiting a little bit longer, and that's why they brought So in for a year and a half.
God, poor So. I keep forgetting. She just kind of, like, slipped in there.
Which I'm so grateful for, because I love her. And I think Chigi got... It's weird. I think she got a lot better during that time, even though she had really weird, like, not at all Chigi roles during So's run.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, she played women a lot, and that is super not Chigi. And she had a lot of kind of quiet roles also. It was weird.
But I think it's good to challenge yourself that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It was definitely a challenge.
We're going to come back to favorite roles, so I'm going to switch us to Miyu.
Okay. Miyu's
because
history.
I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about her, and her history is going to be a little shorter, so...
Yes, good call. I actually did not watch a lot of Tsukigumi at that time, so I did not know who Miyu was until she came to Snow Troupe, which is terrible. But,
see, I saw her in Tsukigumo in 2013. I saw a recording of it. I didn't see it live. And that was before the transfer announcement and everything was announced. But I remember being super impressed with her because she was quite young at the time. She was just like 3 or 4. And I thought, wow, this one is going places. And then, like, I blinked and they announced that she was, like, moving to Yukigumi to be a top star. So it made sense to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I saw her Shinjinko and Juliet afterwards, like, once I knew who she was and, like, started going back and doing my research. And she definitely grew a lot since then. And she was the lead in Merry Widow also, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that also afterwards. But my first impression of her was when she came to Yukigumi, and I was nervous at first because Miyu was such a little mouse when she first came to Yukigumi. She was so shy off stage that it was like, it sounded like she could barely bring herself to talk at first, which again is really weird to think about now because of how much she's changed. But like, I remember that time and remember thinking like, wow, she is so quiet. And then I saw Maida Keiji, So Kazuho's Taidan show live, and Miyu's character is really vibrant and feisty in that. And I was really kind of taken aback by the difference between her onstage persona and her offstage persona. Like, she's always been really, really strong on stage, I think.
Yes, very much.
And now both, but on stage always.
Yeah, I also happened to see her talk first because before I saw her act, which was also in Maeda Keiji. And I was like, oh my god, is this girl alright? Why can't she form sentences? Which I think a lot of people thought the same at the time. But then as Sutamaru, she was amazing. She was such a tomboy and so determined and so strong. And I was like, is that the same person? And then I watched The Murray Widow and I was like blown away and became her fan straight away from that.
She played opposite a lot of interesting otokoyaku, hasn't she?
Yeah, and
her first lead was opposite Mirio, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Haruno Yuki. And everyone who she played against became a top star at the end.
Yes. So what about her chemistry together with Chigi?
It's great.
This is gonna be long.
Do you think that's what kind of helped her get out of her shell?
Oh,
I think so.
definitely. If you watch New Wave Tsuki, which was her last show before coming to Yukigumi, at the end, since she was transferring, she did a little speech, and she's so nervous and so out of breath, and so, oh my god, I can't believe I'm standing in front of these people and I have to talk. And if you see her now speak, she's completely okay. It's like she's grown a whole decade, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's really, I think, matured.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Chiki is really good at bringing that out of people.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I mean, I don't want to talk about Diamond, but I think she, like, helped Diamond in similar ways, too. Like, she's good at loosening people up and getting them to come, like, further out of their shells. And I think Miyu is definitely an example of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think Chiki is shy as a person, at least self-described as such. But she really has a thing of bringing people together, of valuing teamwork and making it happen, but not by pulling people to do it, by pushing them to do it, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, like challenging them.
Yeah, like she makes the mood nice and friendly, so everyone can blend in and be nice to each other.
Yeah, I think she makes a really comfortable atmosphere. Like, I'm gonna end up getting off topic.
Alright, I'm gonna cut you there. I'm gonna cut you off there then, because we're gonna come back to like why we love them.
Yeah.
At the end. So, okay, give me. I know this is gonna be tough, but pick one favorite role for each of them.
Who's going first?
I don't even know what my answer is. Actually, it's really hard not to say this current one in Bakumatsu Taioden.
Oh.
Because it's just so perfectly made for her. And I think it shows off her charms really well. It's hard to pick like what I think Chigi did the best job with, like, because I think she's really good at changing for different roles.
Yeah.
So like more than that angle, I like this role for her. I think it just like came together perfectly, and like Koyanagi sensei understands her really, really well, and she put together something that really shows off Chigi's charms. Like, if I compare it to like Caleb Hunt, for example, I think that character was kind of bland and she made it into something, whereas now like this is a character that was like lovingly crafted for Chiki, and I really am enjoying watching it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really happy it's Koyanagi-sensei who did it, because she really knows Chickie very well. She was in charge of her first Cinco lead as well, Never Say Goodbye.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she did her first Cinco lead, Hiro Hirome, and now her Taidan.
Oh, that's so great.
So, it's someone who really has seen Chickie grow and worked with her a lot in very pivotal points in her career.
I'm so glad I know that now.
That happens a lot. Like, the young directors who sort of did their first, like, Shinko direction with, like, young Shinko stars, it seems like as they mature together, when the top stars that they sort of led in the Shinkos retire, they often have, like, a role either with their Taidan show or, like, the small show just before it, or I see that pattern a lot. I don't know if it's a recent thing but it's kind of cute.
It is.
Alright, how about Miyu? Favorite role?
Favorite Miyu role? What is my favorite Miyu role? That's also really hard.
She's had some really good ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of biased about Rurouni Kenshin because, like, I just had such a fun time watching that show. I saw it more times than I've seen any other Takarazuka show. So it felt like I knew it more intimately when the show was over than ever before. And, she got to be kind of spunky and tomboyish in Kenshin, and I liked that, even though I think Koike-sensei broke her voice. She really kind of had a hard time with the singing throughout the entire run. I think she persevered through that and just, like, had a lot of fun with it, and she was really fun to watch in Kenshin.
No.
So I'm going to tentatively say Kenshin. I don't know, but yeah.
Alright, so Kamiya Kaoru and Kenshin. Alright, Kams, how about you?
Okay, for Chickie, I can honestly say I've liked every single lead show she's ever done, which is really rare for anyone to say such a thing. At least I never like every single show someone has done. There has to be a dud somewhere, right? But for Chickie,
Right.
she really had a great run. But I think my favorite role of hers has to be Amano Haruoki from Hoshiai Hitoyo.
Also, yes.
Right? I mean, I think it's a role that made me go from I really like you to you're the one.
Hoshiai.
It was a very, very difficult role to pull off and had so many emotional ups and downs all the time, and yet she did it so perfectly, made every single expression and gesture count and be relevant to the story. And, like, I really like that guy. I don't know.
Aww. Alright, how about Miyu?
For Miyu, I think it's a tie between Osome from Bakumatsu Taiyoden, currently playing right now, and Hana Glavari in The Merry Widow.
Oh, okay.
She killed it as Hana at Only Ken 4, and I think no one expected her to be that solid as Hana.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Carly said earlier, she was such a little mouse. And before Hana, I don't think she ever played such an adult, solid role before. It was like Juliet and there was Satoko too. I'm sorry. But in any case, it was, I think, a really pivotal point for Miyu.
Yeah.
And she really killed it. And then Osome right now, I think it's a perfect role to go out with, which I wasn't expecting to say right now. Because having watched the movie, I was really wondering if Miyu might get shafted in the Taidan Koen. But thankfully Koyanagi-sensei made it count and made the role good for Miyu. And she's also killing it. It's a role she could only have done right now after all this growth she's passed from, she's been through. I mean, there's a point in the play where she's like trying to convince Saheji to do her a favor, and she's like, please do this for me. See, something like that. And that's an ad-lib point every time. And every time she's finding new ways to like tease him and make Chiki like lose her words and stuff. And there's some really great things that have come out of there. Which if you see their interaction even at only this little bit, you can see how Miyu before Yukigumi and Miyu right now is a completely different person. She couldn't do that ad-lib earlier. And I'm really glad to see this.
I think it's interesting that both of you, I don't know if you did it deliberately, that most of the roles you picked as your favorites were from their time as top stars. Because, this is going to sound silly, but I think for a lot of actresses, my favorite roles of theirs are when they're like Nibante or like their smaller lead roles before they become top stars.
Yeah, that's usually true for me too, I think.
Yeah.
But like, especially with these two, I think they transformed as top stars so much. Like, I came around to their charms like night and day so much more once they became top versus before, I think, for me personally.
Absolutely.
I think this kind of segues into what we were going to talk about next, which is best live memories, because like Carly, you were talking about you saw Kenshin so many times that it kind of left a huge impression on you. And I feel like for me too, when you see a show live and you see it so many times, you get to see all its quirks, like it just has deeper meaning for you. So
yeah. And my favorite live memory for Chigi probably is from Kenshin. The first time I saw Kenshin, it was early in the Takarazuka run, and right around when the show opened, the flu was going around Yukigumi.
Yeah.
And I think on the day I saw it, something like 6 people were out, and over the course of the first 2 or 3 weeks of the run, I think over a dozen people were out in rotation, including like Ayanagi Sho was out and somebody had to take it, Manoharu had to take her role, and Arisa Hitomi was out at one point. Like, some people who were in some really visible roles were out, and it was really, really tough. And the first time I saw it, I had a second row seat that I had purchased at auction because I have no self-control. And the finale in Kenshin is so good. But that day, like, with 6 people out, and I think like it was Sho's first day back, it was just like, it was really obvious that this was a really stressful time for Yukigumi. Like, Miyu was having trouble with her voice. There was one note in her solo song that I think I saw Kenshin 6 or 7 times, and I think she hit that note once out of all the times I saw her, because her voice was so badly damaged. So Chigi, it's not a solo dance, but like it's Chigi's dance in the finale, like towards the beginning of it, where the other Musume and the Troupe are dancing around her, and Chigi is like the focal point of this dance. She was so on fire in that dance on that day, like amidst all of the stress of what was going on, that it's still really impressive if I think about it. It just, like, it left such a strong impression on me of, like, how much stress she must be under, both, like, trying to keep the troupe together, trying not to get sick herself. Like, maybe she even was sick and was trying to act through it. Nobody knows. And she almost seemed pissed off during that dance. Like, she was, like, trying to, like, let out all of her pent-up energy in this one finale dance, and it was so good, and I was just so impressed with her and her poise and her leadership and everything. it's hard to describe without showing it, I guess, but it was really impressive.
Very cool.
Super cool.
What's your favorite live memory?
For me, well, Carly said all the cool things, so mine will be silly. But
It's fine.
mine was this year in Bakumatsu Yoden. I had I was lucky enough to have really, really, really good seats for Bakumatsu Yoden all 3 times that I saw it. And my favorite live memory is when at the end, well, I guess it's gonna be a little of a spoiler, but let's say I was seated very well for the ending of it, and like Chigi and Miyu passed right next to me, holding hands, and I was so happy at that moment. Like I was afraid I wouldn't make it this year to go see their Taidan, and I would be devastated if that happened. But thankfully I did, and it was, like that moment where I was in that very good seat, seeing them that close, and everything was beautiful and nothing hurt. And it was one of the happiest moments of my life.
Oh.
I'd seen them before in Kenshin too, but I don't know. This time maybe it was a Taidan. It really hit me bad.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's do why you love them. And I know this is going to be hard to contain and keep short, but we have talked about a lot about them, and they're good points already. But Cams, I'm going to have you go first.
Okay.
Why do you love Chiki?
Why do I love Chigi? Okay, so most of all, I love Chigi's determination and all the hard work she's put into her work all these years. Like how she had so many things going against her, like being in not the best environment, so to say, during her formative years, with everyone else being so much taller and manlier looking than her. But she didn't give up. She tried to be the best she could and do the most she could, and that paid off. And I'm really, really, really proud of her for it.
Aww.
Like she's kind of a role model to me regarding how it doesn't matter that you're not 100% suited for this. If you want this, you should try, and it'll become true.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Carly, how about you? Why do you love Chiki?
As a longtime Yuki Goomy fan, I think my favorite thing about Chigi is her leadership. I really do love her now, and at first she wasn't on my radar at all, and then during I didn't start coming to Japan until was Top Star. During her run, I thought Chigi was fine. I was pretty much indifferent. So I'm really kind of shocked by how much I've come to love her, and I think why I love her so much is because of the troupe that she's made. Like the general attitude of Yuki Goomy, and it just has such a warm family feeling, and I know that Chigi is a really, really big reason for that. I just I love this environment that she's created, and I love everybody in the troupe so much, and it's just I know that's not Chigi specific, but it totally is what it is because of Chigi, I think. And I'm just really thankful to her. I've never cried in a theater as much as I cried during Dramatic S this week in my life. And I've cried in theaters quite a bit. I'm a crier. But I was just bawling uncontrollably for the whole last 20 minutes of it. And So this is also a little bit of a spoiler, but I really want to tell this story. So if you don't want to know anything about Dramatic S, please skip ahead a little bit. So there's a big troupe number in Dramatic S where everybody's wearing mint green for Yukigumi, and it's they're singing about Kizuna, which is like basically Chiggy's life motto, and I guess it basically means like bonds.
It's such a hard word to translate.
Yeah. It's like the connection and bonds between people, and like if you've seen Senshiraku footage of any show, maybe you've seen this. Like Chiggy has this thing she does whenever she greets the audience and everyone's standing on stage. Like she has this stupid little like fist pump thing she does, and the whole troupe says Kizuna, Kizuna. So like Kizuna is a big Chikigumi thing, and they made a song about it, which is really, that's when I start crying, and then I don't stop until the show is over. But I don't know. I read this on Twitter, so I don't know where it was. Kems, maybe you know where it was when Daigo Seshiru and Kingu were talking. Was that like a talk show? Or
yeah,
they had something together recently, and they were both talking about how like, it was like a live talk show.
Yeah.
So I read this report that they had gone to see Yukigumi and they watched this number, and they both felt like they until that point didn't have any regrets at all about when they decided to retire, but they saw that number and were just like so deeply sad that they weren't a part of it, because it's like because of that Yukigumi family feeling. And I find that really heartwarming, and that's why I love Chickies.
Seriously. They were like, do you think will anyone notice if we go on stage next time? Like one or two more people wouldn't hurt, right?
That'd be awesome if they snuck on.
Yeah.
All right, how about Miyu? What's so special about her?
Really, what's not to like about Miyu? Miyu is like this ball of talent and, I don't know, angelic properties, so to say. Like she's so nice. She's like a character from a Ghibli movie come to life. And
not the villain, I'm guessing.
No, definitely not. The really nice and determined protagonist.
Gotcha.
And I really like her gap, so to say. On the one hand, she's so demure and so scared of things. But on the other hand, she has such a strong core inside her. She can do anything, and she doesn't back down. And she's also such a talented person. She can do everything and do it well, even though she doesn't think she can do it well. She really can. One of my favorite stories about Miyu is during Ongaku Gakko. At some point when they were cleaning with the yokase, she was cleaning with her class, and this really huge insect came in the class, and everyone was like, ew, screaming, what are we gonna do about it? And then little tiny yokase Miyu comes in, and she's like, excuse me, and like squashes the insect flat right then and there. And I think that's the best story that shows what Miyu is like capable of, so to say. Like she looks like she can't do it, or she'd be scared of it, but in reality she can do it. And I think that's the best thing about her.
That's a great story. All right, Carly, how about you?
I kind of agree. I mean, I like so many things about Miyu, like,
right.
And it feels silly to say things like her talent and her voice and all that stuff. I mean, I love her singing voice is so delicate and beautiful. It's just really, really, really nice to listen to, especially in Bakumatsu Taiyuden right now. I think it's especially beautiful. It maybe is the best I've ever heard her sound, but similarly, I think I think I'm most attracted to her inner strength, as also a shy person. it's kind of exhilarating to see somebody who is so obviously shy like overcome that so spectacularly. Like, it's inspiring. Seeing her growth is really inspiring, and really just she's so charming. Like how much she came out of her shell, and how like wonderful and warm a person she is now that she's out of her shell is just really nice. I don't know what nice is such a terrible word, but I love her for it. I love her inner strength and the unexpected ways it shows itself.
I completely agree.
That's awesome. All right. We were going to talk a little bit about the current show, their Taidon show, but we've talked about it a little bit. So I'm going to kind of open this up. Do you have any like final stories, anecdotes, or if you want to talk about the current show, just something to kind of close on? What do you think, Carly?
I already said I've never cried as much as I have during this. It's really like, it's so weird, and I'm so, again, taken aback by how badly I don't want them to retire, which in itself is weird because I'm a really big Diamond fan. Like, I feel like I should be really excited for her upcoming Top Star run, and I am, but I'm just so deeply in love with this Yuuki Goomy. It's really, really sad to see it come to a close, and like for the first time in my life before I came to Tokyo this week to see it, I was feeling like I really don't want to go to Tokyo. Like, I never want to go to Tokyo. I just want to postpone this forever so they're here forever. And now, like, tomorrow's my last show. So it's the last time I'm going to see them, and I am scared to think about how much I'm going to cry.
Good luck.
But it's thanks. But it's a really, really good show. It's so perfect for them as a Taidon show. I think Bakumatsu Taioden is, I was saying before that the character of Saheji is really perfect for Chigi. And Kenzo was saying that Osome is perfect for Miyu, which I also agree with. But it's a quirky comedy that's very much in the style of Chigi's Yuki Goomy. I think it shows off the whole troupe's charm really, really well, even though there are some troupe members who aren't featured as much as I'd like them to be. But it's still, like, overall it just has such a nice feeling, and it's light and funny. You need something light and funny before the review, because that is just like one shot to the heart after another. And it's I think it's a very simple review in a lot of ways. Like, it doesn't have an overwhelming crazy theme. It just has a lot of cool separate dance scenes, but again, like, really well tailored to Chigi and really heavy-handed with the Taidon feelings. So I mean, it's like impossible to get tickets, so I guess I don't know if anyone is like around and was waffling about seeing it. I don't know if you're gonna have any luck, but I would definitely recommend picking it up when it comes out on DVD. It's a beautiful, wonderful set of shows.
I was gonna say, there's always the DVD. That's the nice thing about Takarazuka.
Yeah,
thank God.
I've never seen this level of lack of tickets.
Seriously.
And like I said, I haven't been coming to Japan that long, so I don't have the same long experiences some people do, but like, I wanted to see the show today, and this was the first time in my entire life that I like went on Okepi, which is a ticket exchange site, and there was not a single ticket for today at the show that I wanted to see. It's crazy. So I'm really, I mean, I wish I could have seen it an additional time, but I'm also really proud of how well loved they are, because I think it's very, very much deserved.
Definitely. It's tickets are so wild that there's exorbitant prices on second-hand tickets for the tickets to the live viewing of the raku. Not to be inside the theater itself, to be in a cinema somewhere watching the live stream. And you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for that at this point.
Yeah. All right. Kems, how about you? Any final thoughts, final anecdotes?
Yes, I'm very glad this is their Titan show because it's so well balanced in so many ways, in my opinion. Like, on the one hand, it's the crazy comedy. On the other hand, it's the polished, traditional, cool review. So it's both of the same. You get both worlds done in a very good way. And my favorite thing about this particular production is that it's very much a troupe show. Everyone gets their moment, both in the play and in the review. And it's actually something Chickies was particular about. She wanted it to be this way. Apparently she's never done, how top stars often can ask, like, I want to do this role, let me do this. Chickies never did that, but she specifically asked for Nakamura Kazunori sensei to do her Titan review because she knew that guy could make the whole troupe shine in it. And that's really great of her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, like she wanted it to be about the troupe rather than only herself. That's another thing I like about
it.
Her.
Definitely. Yeah, it definitely shows. And like, at the same time, that is the most Chickies thing. So like,
yeah, definitely.
It becomes about the troupe and about Chickies at the same time. I think like more than any beautiful solo scene that you could have given her.
Yes, absolutely.
Having her surrounded by that troupe love is the most Chickies thing you could have done.
Absolutely. I'm not a crier in public places, so to say. I've never cried in the theater anyway, but in Dramaticus I was bawling throughout the second half. I just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's lethal. It's really, really lethal.
It's a lot.
All right, I guess my last question to both of you, since this is a podcast, a fan podcast, what about their fan interactions? Like, did you ever see either of them at Irimachi or Damachi or Ochakai or hear any stories?
I've been to a Chickies Ochakai. It was weird. It was during the flu, the aforementioned Kenshin flu, and we were not allowed into the room without a mask on. So it was a very weird Ochakai. Like because Chickies was not wearing a mask, and they were trying so hard to keep her healthy, but still like have a fun Ochakai. So it was Chickies up on her raised table with theater seating, and just a sea of women in masks. It was crazy. I don't know if that's, again, it was such a stressful time. I don't know if that's like the best indicator of her at an Ochakai. I don't even really remember what she talked about, but she was very cool. She was very, it's weird, like Kems was saying before, she almost like is a little bit shy. Like she doesn't come off as that much of a shy person in a work setting, but when you get a little bit off, like even just to the degree that Ochakai is off, she is like a little bit more reserved, or at least she was that night. Okay, I guess that's not like a great great story. It's just like a weird thing that happened. I have sadly never been to one of Miyu's Ochakai. I'm kind of kicking myself for not looking up when it was this time. I don't know if I could have gone or not, but I did hear from a friend that during Kenshin, when her voice was damaged, they were going to cancel her Ochakai because everyone was trying to keep her from talking as much as possible. and she insisted on having it. And she didn't talk. Like, her staff was emceeing, and she was like playing games and answering things and writing on cards and stuff because she just wanted to have ochakai and express her thanks to her fans so badly. And at the end, she insisted on like saying something to everybody before leaving, and I just thought that was a really sweet, very Miyu thing.
Aww.
Yeah, she's such a nice girl.
How about you, Kems?
I've unfortunately never been to a Chigi ochakai, but I read a lot of reports online from kind people who provide them. And there are several stories, but I'd rather not reproduce them.
Sure.
Because especially recently, her ochakai started prohibiting reports.
Sure.
So better not. But I've seen a couple of irimachi, and she's so funny so many times. She says a lot of funny things, like in I think it was in Kenshin Raku. When she greeted everyone at the end, she said something like, okay, our next stop is to Rome now. Please come on the train and let's move on to the next station. Something like that.
Was that when they were doing Roman Holiday?
Yeah, exactly. It was right after Kenshin.
That's cute.
I see they also do a lot of fun events in collaboration with Miyu and Diamond's Club. And it's really nice to see people's stories from them.
Yeah, that's so much fun when the fan clubs do things together. Aww. Well,
I do have one more thing. I thought of one more thing.
Go for it.
Sorry, let me say one more thing. So she's been really emotional. Which is weird to see because she never previously, like, it was always obvious how much her work meant to her and how hard of a worker she was, but she never struck me as like the breakdown in public type of person. But she's been way more emotional than I expected her to be. She was very emotional. I watched the Takarazuka Senshuraku live view in the movie theater, and it was less than 24 hours after I landed in Japan, so I was not in the best mindset, and I don't have the best memory of it, but she was very emotional. The photos of her crying in her press conference gutted me because I never thought she would be the type of person to cry in a press conference. And just like all these little hints that she's dropping in interviews and graph and stuff, like pretty much anytime she has a chance to talk about leaving, it's very obvious like how much she knows she has to leave, but she doesn't want to leave. And like on one hand it's really sad, but on the other hand, it's really beautiful to see how much Takarazuka means to her, and I don't know. I just wanted to add that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, it's always so sad when you feel like they don't really want to go. Like, it's different when you're like, okay, they're ready for the next stage of their life, but...
Yeah, that's true. She's really been crying very much lately. Like, in every single Titan thing I read about her or see her in, at some point there's some tears going on.
Aww.
And it's heartbreaking.
Wow. Well, I wish both of them the best of luck. When is... Let's see. Senshiraku's the 23rd, so... Wow. Alright.
Yep.
I wish them the best of luck.
I will be counting the seconds to Miyu's Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
That's always something to look forward to. Alright, if any of our listeners have any other awesome stories about Chigi or Miyu that they want to share, please do drop us a note, or if you have any questions for these obviously two awesome fans, also drop us a note. We'll have a whole bunch of links in the podcast blog, and I guess that's everything.
Yeah.
Kems, thank you so much for bringing us your intense Chiggy knowledge.
No. I wish I could have done a better work at it, but emotions got the better of me.
Oh, it's so hard to do.
I'll probably go later and post a really big comment underneath the entry about with many episodes I forgot to mention right now.
That's what's nice about being able to leave comments.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi again. It's Carly and Kems, and we're back a week and a half later because we forgot to talk about some of the coolest trivia about Chickies' run in our emotional state. So
We really
we're gonna
did.
do that now. Yeah, especially this one really, really awesome, big, important thing, which is
that Chiggy and her troupe have managed the never before achieved huge thing of completely selling out all 5 of their Grand Theatre shows in a row since Hirome.
which is amazing.
It really is, actually. I mean, it's kind of a big statement to make, but the Daigekijo in Takarazuka city is probably, or most definitely, the biggest theater in Japan. I mean, there are bigger halls and venues in general, like the main hall in Kokusai Forum in Tokyo. That's like 5,000 seats. Or NHK Hall is 3,746. But those are more like multi-purpose halls. They're not theaters, strictly speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like venues who are used only as theaters are big around 2,000 seats, more or less. Like even the Imperial Theater in Tokyo is around 1,900 seats. So selling out a theater with 2,550 seats like the Daigekijo is quite a big feat, I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize that had never been done before because I always heard rumors that tickets used to be so much harder to get to pretty much any Takarazuka show. But I guess that is different from like completely selling out every single one of your shows.
Yeah, apparently it seems so, because this is something the company themselves have said multiple times, that it's the first time in the history of the review, in the 104 years of it, that someone managed to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing and really important.
They generally seem to be selling better lately.
Yes, I think so too. I think maybe of all of the shows in her run, the one that is most impressive that she sold out is maybe Hoshiai, because now it's one of my favorite shows of all time, but nobody knew that before it started.
Yeah,
you know, that it was
definitely.
so good. So, and I also think that Kenshin really helped boost her popularity even more. So anything that happened after that, I can totally see that selling out. But she sold out Hoshiai.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is a Nihonmono that at the time nobody knew anything about. And it turned out to be amazing. So I'm glad. But I just think that's really, really impressive.
It really is, and I agree with you. At the time it was just a random original Nihonmono from this new debuting director. Nobody knew what it was about, only that it looked pretty. And yeah, it says a lot about what a masterpiece it is, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And now kind of the end result of all of that is this is the most insane ticket situation that I've ever seen for her Tainan show. I've never had as much trouble getting tickets to something as I have to Bakumatsu Taioden in Tokyo. And I also can't get a ticket to the live viewing, which is completely crazy. They're the live view tickets, and for those of you who aren't aware, the last day of Tokyo is going to be live streamed in, at this point, many, many theaters around the country. So you're sitting in a movie theater watching the show. Those tickets are on secondhand sites for starting at like basically double. No. So I think they're originally 4,600 yen. So yeah, about the cheapest that I've seen is triple face value. And then it goes way up from there. And the ticket exchange sites have almost nothing. It's just crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
It's very, very crazy. I mean, everyone wants to go to that last day, apparently. I've even seen people saying they're booking tickets for 3 or 4 prefectures away from where they live, because that's where the only available seats in a live stream theater were at.
Yep.
And still they're willing to do the trip for that. It's crazy.
Yeah. They just released another block of tickets on Saturday, and I actually managed to connect to the website, but by the time I was done filling out my information, they were gone.
Oops.
So, yeah. Chickie is a force.
She really is. I mean, thank God she's been selling great, not just in seat tickets in a theater. Her goods and magazines have also been selling very well.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of her goods sold out like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Especially some of the ones that like all the top stars have the same thing in a different color. Like Chickies are all gone.
Yeah.
Everybody else's are still left.
Yeah, calendars were the same too. Hers are usually the first to go, I think. Talking about goods and magazines, by the way, she was also the first to be on the cover of a magazine called Stage Navi. Which up until that point only had Johnny's idols from boy bands on their cover. But they did, last year with Kenshin, they did this huge Yuuki feature and even put Chickie on the cover. And she was actually worried about that. Will it sell or will it not? Compared to the super popular Johnny's idols. But apparently it did, because I remember at the time it was sold out everywhere. I had a friend look it up for me, and she had to go to several bookstores to find it.
Wow.
And also because recently the same magazine did another Takarazuka feature on Hanagumi this time, with Mirio on the cover. So I guess that means they did see a good result from last time.
Good. Chickie started a trend. Yeah, all of that I think is really super cool. So we just wanted to make sure that we mentioned it. And the last little bit of trivia that we wanted to mention that we left out is Chickie is only the second top star ever from Nagasaki. The other one being Anjumita, who is also like our other personal favorite. So I thought that was cool too.
Nagasaki is a great place.
A great place for very, very tiny top stars with amazing cheekbones, apparently.
Yes. Oh god. So much.
Yeah, okay, so that's it now, for real. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Many thanks to Michael B. and the Arcanum String Quartet for their wonderful arrangement of Sumire no Hana Sakugoro. And thank you, listeners, for enjoying our podcast.